Hey, hey,
Hello, Zach. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am doing well, and thank you so much to everybody who is joining us today for this month's webinar. I am so excited to have Zachary Beach here with us from Smart Real Estate Coach. How's your week going so far?
Yeah, it's been a good week so far. Excited to dive in with you and your tribe here today.
Awesome. We appreciate you so much for coming on and talking with a lot of our investors. We have loved getting to learn a lot about what you're doing right now to help investors get started in real estate and how to really help position themselves during these current market trends that are happening right now. So we really, really appreciate you guys for coming on and talking with our team today.
Yeah, I love that. And I think everyone's going to get a ton out of today when it comes to market trends right now, because creative financing is the number one sought after technique or techniques when it comes to actually capturing today's market. So I'm excited to dive in with your team.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, I don't want to spoil too much of what you all have to offer and incentives to talk to us about today. So I know you have a presentation that you're going to be sharing with us. So I'll let you work to get that up on the screen. But while we're getting that up, I definitely wanted to let everyone know also about the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. You guys got a lot of followers and a lot of people able to listen in each month. So those are on all streaming platforms currently. And we're actually excited to have Chris on our podcast, our On the House podcast will be on our next episode airing next week. So we'll get to get a little bit of a deep dive there as well and more on what you guys are seeing in market trends.
I love it. I love it. If you could allow me to share here, I'll go ahead and we'll get this thing started.
Yes, let's do that. Give me just a second here.
Of course.
All right. Okay. Is it coming through for you to be able to do that?
Right now, it's just not allowing me to share.
Okay. Hold on just a second.
Oh yeah.
Little technical difficulty, but we will make it through.
It's all good.
Let's see.
No worries. I'm on your time today.
That's all right. We appreciate that. So it is coming through. Give me just a moment.
Yeah, all good.
All right. Let's see here. Is it coming up, Jesse?
Oh, I think I'm good to go now.
All right. There we go. Beautiful. All right. Take it away. We are all ears.
Awesome, awesome. Actually, let me just make sure we got some sound here going, and I will I think the one thing I can't do is share sound right now, so we have to bear with me with the video, but trust me, you'll get plenty out of it. So let's just get
Sounds
this thing
good.
going. All right, everyone. Well, I'm Zach Beach. I'm the COO and partner at Smart Real Estate Coach, or as many of you know now, Wicked Smart. And really, I want to give you a couple disclosures here before I get started. And that is, number one, I'm from New England, so I'm going to go fast. But that's great for you because I'm going to be able to load you up with content today. And number two, other than those TV shows and commercials out there, we're not going to be able to tell you how to get rich overnight in this, say, 45-minute workshop. But what we will be able to do is dive in and show you the ins and outs of creative financing. So at the end of this too, I'd also be remiss not to point you in the direction when it comes to additional resources to help further your education or even start doing deals if you choose to do so as well. So I am definitely somebody who likes to be interactive. So if you could in the chat, I would love to hear, kind of where you're coming in from. Say hi in the chat. Tell me where you're from, and we'll go ahead and we'll get started here in just a second. So I don't know if you guys are used to it, but if you go ahead and you click on that chat, I know your panel and the attendees, you should be able to go ahead and comment there as well. It would be my guess if we're enabling that at this time. All right, well, with that being said, let me just go ahead and play you a quick video. Now, I know you're not going to be able to hear the awesome upbeat sound, but trust me, you'll get the best out of this. So go ahead and we'll get started. Well, all right. With that as a backdrop, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into how our family creates 3 paydays on every single deal that we do without using our own cash, without using our own credit, and without going to banks, and how we help people on a daily basis go ahead and escape from their job and take back their life and to create a lifestyle that they want. So, and also we're going to dive in towards the end here of some real life case studies and deals. So stick with me as we run through this presentation here today. And for those that stick all the way to the end, we want to ensure that you get some free gifts just by attending this awesome workshop with Spartan Invest. So first and foremost, we want to ensure you get our first Amazon best-selling book that's completely revised from coming out of COVID. So that way it is completely up to date when it comes to this real estate market. That is real estate on your terms. Next, we want to ensure you get the new rules of real estate investing, where we actually spoke with some of the top real estate investors in multiple different niches across the country, and wanted to ensure that we brought you the latest information when it comes to how to navigate this real estate market. Because deal structure overtime. Now, we have been doing YouTube videos that we call deal structure overtimes or deal structure Sundays for the past 4 years, where we actually dive into the real estate deals. Now, this is a book that is going to go behind the scenes of those actual deals, so that way you can see all the nuances. And last but not least, we want to ensure that you are able to get a free strategy call where we dive into where you currently are and help you bridge that gap to where you want to be throughout this process. So there is an old way of doing real estate. Now, my guess is that each and every one of you have been exposed to that. That's rental income, that's realtor commissions, that's wholesales, that's fix and flips. And at the end of the day, what that really means, that they all have in common, is that you only get paid one time. So today I want to expose you to the new way of doing real estate investing. And that is that you don't just get paid once, you don't just get paid twice, but you actually get paid 3 times. That's 3 distinctive income streams on each and every deal that you do. Look, we were exposed to this during the 2008 crash and have perfected over the last 10 years. So that way we can go ahead and share it with you here today. So my father-in-law, which she mentioned earlier, that was on the podcast, like he was a broker owner for 18 years. He did fix and flips, raise the roof projects. But unfortunately, in 2008, when it crashed, he lost everything. He had to dig himself out of debt for personally guaranteeing on loans. He had to seek coaches, and then eventually we had to re-engineer the business, which led to the model right now that we're working in that thrives in all markets. My brother-in-law, Nick, was a realtor for 8 years before he went ahead and joined in 2014. And then I joined in 2015. I was a bartender and personal trainer, and I too wanted to escape my current circumstances. I was working long nights and early mornings. And I remember one time I was sitting there, it was about 4 a.m. in the morning, speaking to my wife, Kayla, and we just got finished during a bartending shift, and we were just both exhausted. Now, at that point in time, we kind of drew a line in the sand, and that's when we went ahead and reached out and joined the family business and said, hey, there's got to be a better way. And we were able to create a much better lifestyle here with creative financing, with real estate. And it took us about 6 months before we fully jumped in, and the rest is history at that point in time. So I know I did talk about the family, but just want to share with you here in the top left-hand corner is my brother-in-law, Nick, myself, and my father-in-law. The top right-hand corner is my mother-in-law, Kim. In the bottom right-hand corner, you see my son, Remy, and my daughter, Bellamy, along with my wife, Kayla. So you're going to learn not from a group of people or a mentor or a community that did deals 10 years ago at one time. No, that would be extremely scary here, because the market is forever changing. Now, we're going to tell you the exact strategies and tools that we use on a day-to-day basis. But before we go ahead and dive into that, I do just want to cover a couple things here. So my first question is, are you prepared? Now, are you prepared to handle market cycles? Because we're currently in the middle of a market cycle. I know none of us can actually predict what's about to happen, but we all have a pretty good feeling of where things are going. But not only can you handle these market cycles, but can you actually capitalize on these market cycles. So I know many people that went through COVID and unfortunately did not see a positive transaction. But I also know so many people that went through COVID inside our community that saw a dramatic uptick in their real estate business. So what we all realize is there's really one constant, and that is that the market is forever changing. So I can tell you here today that this business was built to ensure that you can capitalize on each and every one of these market cycles. Listening to the media is never a good thing. I'm sure you can agree with me on this, especially when it determines the decisions that you're making. The media always says it's not a good time to buy real estate. 2 years ago, the media said, don't buy real estate because of COVID. Last year, the media said, don't buy real estate because the market's too hot. And then this year, I bet you can guess what they said. Don't buy real estate. There's a market crash. When the market is changing, you should be celebrating because this is when fortunes are made. I speak to people day in and day out who are stuck in this course taking cycle, which maybe you were in the same position I was at one point as well. And I can tell you why. And that's because some of these people that I actually know are extremely great marketers. And once you go ahead and you buy their course, they are no longer tied to your success. No, we are here to guide you and help you do real estate deals. So that way, we only would want you ever to dive into our courses if you are committed and ready to put in the effort for long-term success. From this 50 years of real estate experience that my family and I have, we have discovered that there's really 3 things that hold people back from getting involved in real estate. First is people feel as though they don't have enough time. Like we can help you navigate no matter how crazy of a schedule you have, whether you're self-employed and want to start another business, or you're a W-2 employee and you want to start building this on the side, or you have children, family members, people that depend on you. We've helped the most busiest people be able to be successful in this real estate niche. Secondly, is people believe they don't have enough money. Well, we're going to absolutely wipe that off the table here today because we're going to show you how you actually don't need your own cash in order to go ahead and acquire real estate. And lastly, most people believe that they don't have enough experience. About 96% of our students that we work with that end up seeing success had 0 real estate experience, just like myself. We are now seeing a massive influx, though, of investors that are seasoned, that didn't hit their goals last year, and are now seeking the power of the 3 payday system through creative financing because of this market shift. And if that's you, you're in the right place as well. Now, people say to me all the time too, look, I can't work full-time in real estate. And can I actually be successful if I don't do so? Well, my response is, frankly, I don't know what I would have you do for 40 hours a week when you first get started in this business. But what we will do is we will match your expectations, where you want to go and how fast you want to get there. And then given your time schedule, and then and only then we will determine how to get you to full-time. So we are consistently helping people become full-time real estate investors, but most start part-time. You can also utilize the strategy call at the end of this in order to go over the exact plan as well. So let's talk about who this is for. So first and foremost, this is for somebody that's looking to create supplemental income. Like we have engineers, attorneys, doctors inside our community, and really what they're utilizing creative financing for in this real estate niche is to provide themselves with a better lifestyle, with supplemental income in order to increase that lifestyle. Secondly, is in the most prevalent in our community is replacement income. Many people come into our community looking to go from W-2 employee, looking to escape their job and move into full-time real estate investor in order to ensure that they can always increase their income and create free time. Third is for those that are looking to invest with an IRA or a Coverdell. I remember when I first got started in real estate, I was sitting there at the attorney's office. We were about to close on a 6-unit building utilizing one of these techniques that we're going to talk about here. And when we went to close, we actually ended up receiving $7,400 from the seller in order to purchase the property because of the way we structured it. Now, my father-in-law, Chris, was purchasing this property with his IRA, and we ended up turning this property around in roughly 24 months for over 6 figures worth of profits. And lastly, those that are looking to purchase their own home. My wife and I, we were self-employed. We were about 2 years into investing in real estate, and we were looking to move from the city of Newport, Rhode Island to some of the outskirts of town because we were about to raise our family. My son was about 1.5 years, and we were looking to have another child. So we ended up working directly with a seller. He was a tired landlord, somebody that was looking to get a rental in this property and would no longer want to deal with renters anymore. And we ended up acquiring this property with little money down, especially compared to the traditional market. Look, I've purchased properties on traditional loans and through creative financing, and I'll tell you hands down, day in and day out, I would always rather acquire property through creative financing. So if you're just looking to be able to acquire your own home, stick with me here today because we are going to show you the techniques that you will never have to go get a bank loan again. So I mentioned the word creative financing a couple times now, so let's talk about what that actually means. So creative financing or buying on terms. Really what I mean is that there are no banks, there are no large down payments, and you will never have to get your credit or sign personally on any of this debt. There are 3 ways in which we buy real estate on terms. First is owner financing. There's roughly 1/3 of the homes in the United States that are debt-free. That means that these sellers are knowing and willing to be able to go ahead and be your bank. So the way that this is structured is you approach a seller that has, typically we're focused on debt-free homes, so no mortgages. You approach a seller and you go ahead and you purchase that property from that seller, and now they become a bank. They now hold a mortgage on that property. So title transfers, you now create a mortgage with that seller. In a majority of the deals we do, we actually are getting them with 0% interest loans on these properties. The second is buying a property subject to the existing loan. Now, this, in my opinion, is if you just learn this technique over the next 3 to 5 years and really master it and acquire a bunch of real estate this way, this is going to set up a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades worth of income for you, especially because the ever-changing market right now and the fact that we're seeing roughly 10 million people in pre-foreclosure right now, this tends to be a great technique to buy property where people need debt relief. So the way this works is you go to a seller that has a mortgage on the property, you go ahead and you close on that property, title transfers to your company, the mortgage remains attached to that seller. Massive technique for you there as well. Third is a lease purchase. So a lease purchase, a lease option is another amazing technique for you to get involved with. It's also some of the easier ways in order to get involved in creative financing because there's no transfer of title. A lease purchase, the way that's set up is you are going to agree upon a purchase price or a locked in set amount of equity. You're going to agree upon a monthly payment, and you're going to agree upon a time frame in which you need to cash out that seller. You're taking on any and all responsibilities of that property, with the intent now to go ahead and sell that property. Well, I'll talk about who we sell to here in just a minute. Sell that property to a tenant buyer that now you're selling it on a lease purchase. It's also known as a sandwich lease as well. So it's a great way to be able to acquire real estate, build in equity in real estate without actual ownership. And I'm going to show you some case studies on actually how the money flows here in these deals and how you can get involved with them as well. So the next viable question then becomes like, why would sellers actually sell to you on terms? So first is sellers are looking to maximize profits. We have been able to help sellers net anywhere from 5 to 15% more net profit on the deals. And this is because we don't have to worry about commissions. They sometimes don't have to worry about closing costs. And the reality is, in the deals in which we're doing, the purchase price is only one of the factors that are involved. There are deals in which we have paid over market value on the deals and still have created massive profits for our company. And there's no other way you can do that in real estate other than utilizing creative financing. So maximizing profits. Two is, and we talked about this for in the last slide, and that is debt relief. So let me give you an example. So there are many sellers right now that need debt relief, whether that be that they're behind on arrears, meaning they're behind on their mortgage payments and now they have a lump sum that's due. Or it could also simply mean that there's a seller out there that has multiple homes, and the debt relief comes in the form of they don't want to continue to pay on a house that's vacant, meaning a second home. So let me give you an example. We bought from a property up here in Massachusetts, and the seller relocated to DC. And the seller went ahead and listed with a realtor. The property came off the market, became an expired listing. So now that current seller owns a home in DC and is now paying also on a mortgage up here in Massachusetts. So what we did is we utilized one of the ways in which we buy. We came in, we started taking over that mortgage payment of the seller, and we ended up taking over that property about $2,300 per month. So now that seller has that debt relief where they no longer have to worry about making that monthly payment. We ended up holding on to that property. I think it was like 7 to 8 years. It just cashed out in the last year or so. That ended up being a 6-figure deal for us in total profits. Lastly, sellers looking for estate or tax planning purposes. So the commercial building that we bought, it's a multi-use building. It houses our entire company. When we approached this seller is a well-known landowner and investment owner in the area in which we are located. And we went to the seller and said, we'd like to go ahead and purchase this property. And this seller was willing and able to go ahead and now be our bank, because he was no longer looking to control or maintain a commercial property. Instead, what he wanted to do is he wanted to create consistent cash flow for his family, for his estate. So that's exactly what we did. He eventually passed away, and the daughter and the wife are still receiving monthly checks from us as well. Most people just ask, they say, how do you convince people to actually do this? Now, there's no convincing, there's no real salesmanship involved. This is about solving problems. Now, creative financing has the ability to solve many problems that the traditional market cannot solve. And that's the exact reason why creative financing is the number one way in which to buy real estate in this type of market, where there is a large portion of buyers that can't qualify for loans, where there is a large amount of sellers now dealing with the falling knife per se, where the interest rates have increased. Now the purchase price on the property is dramatically falling. There are so many different things that are happening throughout this market that the traditional market cannot solve. So we're here to solve that problem. And that's exactly why utilizing this technique today and sitting on this workshop is going to put you in the 1 percentile of people that can actually structure these deals, and you're going to see massive profits from being able to do that over the next 3 to 10 years here. So once we acquire real estate, there are 2 ways in which we now exit or we sell. First is we sell through rent to own. So a rent to own is really just a program to help a tenant become a homeowner, looking for the path to homeownership. Now, we have a very particular process in which we work people through, and that's the reason why we have such a high success rate compared to the rest of the rent-to-own market out there. We are all about creating homeowners, which is extremely important to us. So having that very consistent program helps people get to that point. Secondly is owner financing. So if you end up purchasing the property and title transfers to you, you now have the opportunity to become the bank. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I always told my mom, I want to be the bank. So who doesn't want to be the bank? So putting yourself in that position, now you can create long-term wealth through these deals, because now you can structure 5-year, 10-year, 30-year mortgages on these properties at higher interest rates than the traditional market can bear, which puts you in a strong position because our buyers are knowing and willing to go ahead and pay those types of interest rates. So where do these buyers now come from? Well, first and foremost, they're self-employed. They're just like me, somebody that needed time in order to become bankable. Banks call it seasoning. You need to be able to show a certain amount of income and prove that you make a certain amount of income for a period of time. with COVID, I think it was about a 75% increase in LLCs created. That means that each and every one of those now self-employed solopreneurs now need time in order to qualify for a loan. Next, there are people that have legitimate hiccups in their credit. You know, how many people went through, especially in the past 3 years, having missed a payment because of COVID? But just in general, there are so many people that just need time in order to improve their credit. And lastly, people that had a job change. So many people have now relocated or have changed their job profession based upon the last couple of years as well. And this isn't on there, but as we both know, the dramatic spike in interest rates have really kicked out the average buyer. Right now, what I was told by a mortgage lender that's inside our community, that's buying real estate this way, said that with a 720 credit score and 20% down, the interest rate on a property is anywhere from mid to high 7%, even approaching 8%. The average home buyer cannot purchase that property, which that also means that they just need time. So all of those buyers that were willing and able to purchase a property 6 months ago can no longer purchase that property. Now they're a fantastic fit for our programs. So we've talked about the buyers and we've talked about the sellers. So I want to dive into now exactly how you get paid as the real estate investor. So we have what we call our trademark 3 payday system. So we went ahead and we purchased a property for X. So we purchased a property for a certain price. We purchased the property for a certain monthly payment and for a certain time frame. Now what we went ahead and we go ahead and we sell the property for a certain price, for a higher price. We sell the property for a higher monthly payment, and we go ahead and we give a certain time frame for this buyer to exercise their agreement with us. So day one, these buyers come to us with a large non-refundable deposit that's credited towards the purchase price. So this means that we can go ahead and acquire a property, and within the next 30, 60, 90 days, we can go ahead and collect a non-refundable deposit. And I'll put some actual measurements here to you as well. Payday 2 is the actual spread that we create. So we have a monthly payment that we're making towards the mortgage or to the seller. We then are collecting a higher monthly payment, so that's residual income. This is actual residual income because we have no expenses. We've already passed it along to our buyer. So that's the spread you're collecting each month. And then your payday 3 is the equity that has been created in this property via principal pay down, making the payment on the mortgage or to the seller. And then also any additional premium that's left over because we bought it for X and we sold it for Y. Let's put some actual numbers to this because this is where you create that long-term wealth. So our average non-refundable deposit is $26,000. Now we've done over $100 million worth of these types of creative deals. So this is all niched down based upon our family's numbers here. So $26,000 is your non-refundable deposit. So just imagine you get a property under agreement within 60, 90, 120 days, you now have upfront $26,000 before you have to make a single payment on a property. Payday 2 is $300 per month per property. Now I'm going to show you what a 12-month look back looks like with 20 properties here in just a second. Our average payday 3 is $35,000. So that means that there's a point in time in the future in which when this buyer is actually going to cash you out. Now you can start counting on this over the next 1 to 3 to 5 years, where you know you're going to get a large upfront or a large back end deposit when this property cashes out. This is how you step off the treadmill. So let's look at so on average, our all 3 pays are roughly $75,000, all 3 paydays. But I want to show you so that way we can show you what this business is going to look like for you here in the short future. So this is a 20 property look back in 12 months with little to no money down. In full disclosure, this isn't our first 20 properties, and most likely it won't be yours as well. But this is a 20 property look back. Now, this means that we created $1.6 million in created paydays that is realized over time. This is how you actually step off the treadmill when it comes to operating this business. So during this time frame, we created, in 12 months, we created just under $600,000 in non-refundable deposits. So this is the money that goes directly into your pocket. Over the course of that time frame, we also are now creating residual income of just under $6,500. I was at our recent event, and a wealth professional was there, a financial advisor was there, and he said that you need $7 million in the bank in order to kick out $6,500 worth of cash flow. We were able to do that without our own cash, without our own credit, and without large down payments, without banks. Also, during that time frame, we have now created $822,000 that will then be realized over the next 3 to 5 to 10 years, sometimes even longer. But this is how you really start stacking your wealth, so that way you can start making strategic decisions. And if you choose to go ahead and leave your W-2, or if you're trying to build a lifestyle through supplemental income, it's a great model for you to go ahead and do that now as well. So we showed you the profits now that can be created in the deal. So the next viable question is, all right, so how much does it actually cost to run this business? So my father-in-law, Chris, when he started, he had no VAs. He didn't have an EA, executive assistant, didn't have virtual assistants. He was just without even a CRM or anything either. So very low overhead. But as we brought in virtual assistants, a CRM, some management, it started to get to a point where we were spending roughly $1,000 a month to acquire roughly 4 deals per month. So anywhere from 1 to 4 deals per month. Also, it's of course depends on your time and how much you're going to be pushing off to the virtual assistant. But then we went ahead and we pulled our entire community of people across the entire country. We said, what are you paying per month on your overhead? And it nailed on the head, and it was roughly $1,000 or less per month with virtual assistants in order to help you run the business. $1,000 in overhead to reach about 4 deals per month. So roughly what I just showed you is you have deals that range from $45,000 to $250,000, and your overhead is roughly $1,000. So this is franchise type returns without high overhead. So really what I want to show you here today is really how to bridge that gap from where you currently are to where you want to be. That way you don't get stuck in the, I wish I could start investing in real estate, or, I'm tired, I'm frustrated, I want to make a change. Because there is this extreme gap between, when you want to get involved in real estate, when you start completing deals, and we see it on a day-to-day basis. And really what we're here to do is help you bridge that gap in order to put you in the best position possible to go ahead and start structuring these deals. Now, I know I've said we a couple of times, so yeah, I'm talking about the family. Yeah, I'm talking about our amazing team, but I'm also talking about the Wicked Smart community. In this last photo, we were controlling roughly $60 to $70 million worth of real estate with little to no money down. These are people that are actively in the real estate markets across the entire country doing these creative deals. Now we're all here to help and support you as well. So I promised you that I would do some actual case studies, some real deals, real stories. So why don't we go ahead and dive into that? And I don't know if you have the ability to ask questions here, but if they do have the ability to ask questions, feel free to go ahead and hit them in the chat as well as we go through these deals. And I know that we're on a limited time frame here, so I'm going to go through the deals as quickly as possible. And from that point, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions and things like that as well. The chat is open now for questions. Awesome. So my guess is you are going to have questions, so we'll try to get to them as many as possible. But I want to share with you some case studies here. So again, full disclosure, you're not going to be able to go out and do these deals by listening for the next say 15 or 20 minutes, but you're definitely going to see the potential here as well. And I'll ensure that to stick away all the way to the end, you're going to get these free books that we're going to absolutely ship to you for free. You'll get the hard covers, so we can show you exactly which bucket these types of deals go into. So stick with me here, and we'll continue to open up your eyes to this potential when it comes to creative financing. So Brian O'Neill is out of Chicago. He was a commercial elevator salesman. He was traveling across the country, across Europe, and he was selling commercial elevators. Now, when he approached us He had wanted to start his real estate business for about 8 years, but he didn't do it. He was afraid to do it. So when he approached us, he said that his son was growing up before his eyes and he wasn't there because he was traveling 3 out of 7 days every single week. So he had a strong why at the time. So when he approached us, we had a game plan to help him retire in 17 months. But we actually helped him do it in 9. And we're going to share with you his paydays here. So Brian was able to acquire, his average paydays is $24,000 per deal, $299 per month, and payday 3 is $32,000. So Brian's done at this point 13 deals, just under $1 million. Let me share with you Brian's first deal because I want to bring you all the way back to the beginning. So this property he went ahead and purchased on a lease purchase. That means that he went ahead and went to the seller and bought the property for a certain price or a certain equity position. I'll share with that here right now. So Brian received or found this property as a slide broadcast or an expired listing. So this property is on the market with a seller at one point in time, and now it is one point in time, and then the property expired, came off the market. He also had a term on this property of 36 months, and he went ahead and sold this property for $399. So Brian collected $12,000 up front. He collected $15,000 over the course of the deal. Plus he collected first month's rent, so that's $29,000. He had a monthly payment of $1,850. He had a payment from his buyer of $2,196. That means he was receiving cash flow of $346. So that means that he collected $12,000 over the course of the 3 years. So he sold the property. So he bought for roughly $329. He sold it for $389. So he had a price premium of $55,000. Brian is also receiving the benefit of the principal pay down on this as well. So every single month he makes a monthly payment to the mortgage. $450 is coming off of principal. So over that 36 months, he had $16,000. He had a cash out or a back out payment of $44,000. So if we add up his total paydays, it's $86,000 in total paydays in 3 years. So $29,000 up front, cash flow of $12,000 over the course of 36 months, and he had a cash out payment or back end profit of $44,000. Brian says, being an associate in this community has changed my entire life. The group is special. We have a common goal and we lift each other up. There is limited to zero negativity, and we don't use the words can't and won't. I've never been a part of anything like this, and I am eternally grateful. Mike out of Fresno. Mike was a commodity salesman. He was driving back and forth an hour each way to work 6 days a week during the peak season. And he also was about to start building his family, and he wanted to retire. We actually flew out there and went on appointments with him and helped him structure out his business. Very conservative guy. What we ended up doing is helping him retire in roughly 24 months after we helped him execute that plan. So Mike's business looks like this. $18,000 is payday 1. Payday 2 is $300 per month per deal. And payday 3 is $40,000. All 3 paydays is $82,000. So he's actually higher than our average. And he's getting just about $500,000 in real estate deals and is starting to cash out some of his deals as well. Mike, also, I want to share with you a lease purchase deal here as well. Mike also bought this property from a seller on a lease purchase. So again, title does not transfer, it remains in the seller's name. We just have equitable interest in the property. We have control of it, which allows us to go ahead and sell it as well. Found this property as a for sale by owner. Bought the property for the balance of the loan plus the $57,000. He had 24 months to do so. Sold it for $399. He goes ahead and he collects $12,000 up front. He then is able to, his monthly payment on this property is $1,600 a month. So that's PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance. Collects $1,930 from his buyer each month. That's $330. Goes to full term, that's $7,900 or $8,000 in cash flow. Price premium, increased the price by $34,000. This is a 15-year mortgage. So because Mike locks in the equity, it allows him to get the benefit of principal pay down. So every single month Mike makes this payment to the seller, he's receiving $1,000 in principal. So that's $25,000. This is a way to hedge yourself against the traditional market right now, or even build in great profits on short time frames. So his back end profit is $47,000 because he already collected $12,000 up front. So if you look at Mike's deal, $67,840 over a 24-month span. As you notice, both of these deals, no money down. So the question then becomes, how much of a return on investment are these deals right now? These deals are infinite. Mike also said, I wanted to thank you and the entire SREC team for helping me complete my first deal. With your help, we are here. We're able to accomplish a very profitable deal within 4 weeks. Every obstacle I ran into, there was their help. I can't thank you enough to wait to get my next deal. So we showed you a couple student deals. I want to show you an owner financing deals. An owner financing and then a sub 2 deal here. So owner financing is when you close on the property and the seller now becomes the bank. Let's walk you through it. So this is an expired listing. We bought this property for $183,900. We had a 48-month term on this deal. We sold it for $239,000 to a tenant buyer. It's a buyer that needs time in order to qualify for loan. This is what we structured. We went ahead and we collected $15,000 from the buyer up front. We were making a payment to a seller for $923 plus insurance. The $923 is 0% interest or principal only payments. That means that every payment we make to the seller, that we are now getting at 100% coming off of principal. Again, a massive way to hedge yourself against the market or to create profits. We're collecting $1,500 from the seller. From the buyer. That means we're getting a $480 monthly cash flow. Goes to 48 months. That's $23,000. We rose the price by $56,000. So if we add up the principal pay down, which is $923 a month, that's $44,000 in principal pay down. We already collected the $15,000, so our back end profit on this deal is $85,000. Again, the principal pay down dramatically shifts the amount of profits that are in this deal. So if we add up this deal, $123,000 in 48 months on this deal. Here's a rule of thumb that I'll give you. That is, if you can purchase a property for $199,000 or more, so purchase price, $199,000 or more. If you can get at least a $900 monthly principal only payment, so monthly payment is principal only at $900, and you at least get a 48-month balloon payment, which means that you have to pay off the seller in 48 months as a balloon, and you sell it utilizing our 3 payday system, 6-figure deal every time. You can count on 6 figures. This deal was little to no money down. We paid for transfer fees on this property. Seller was relocating to South Carolina. I want to give you one more example. This is a subject to deal. Now, I told you I'm from New England. I know we're going fast. We have a quick time frame here. This property we purchased subject to the existing loan. So that meant that we went ahead and we closed on this property. These sellers were going through a divorce. So we went ahead and closed on this property. The loan remained attached to the seller's credit, but we're contractually obligated to continue to make that payment. And this is exactly what we're still doing today with this property. These sellers had credit card debt, so we wanted to help catch them up through installments. This was an expired listing. We bought this property for $355,000. We sold it for $425,000 to a tenant buyer. The tenant was actually looking to be an attorney, and now she is. We sold it on a lease purchase with the option for us to then become the bank and sell it on owner financing. If the buyer did everything we wanted them to do, we would then go ahead and become the bank and create a new mortgage. So that we got a deposit from the buyer of $41,000. 31,000 of that was day one. The additional 10 was over time. Our monthly payment to the seller's bank or to the seller's mortgage, $2,000.24. The buyer payment we're getting is $24.97 a month, which means that we have cash flow of $473. We sold it to the buyer on a 29-month option, which means that we created $13,000 in cash flow. We marked up the property $69,000. The principal pay down every single month. So every time we're making a payment to the bank is $569. So over that 29 months, it's $16,000 in principal pay down. We already collected $41,000. So when this property cashes out, we have $44,000 that it's coming to our company. The seller was behind. So this is the debt relief. The seller was behind. So we did go ahead and make that payment to get the seller caught up. So if we add this all up, $95,000 in profits in 29 months. Now, I know I flew through some of these deals here, and I want to ensure that I will be giving you the opportunity at the end to continue to dive further into this. What I consistently see, and that's why I wanted to show you all different types of deals and types of investors in different markets, because I showed you basically three very different people in very different markets. Each of them realize that it's not the market, it's not the price. The only thing that actually determines their success is them. So how about if I can show you exactly how to get behind the green curtain, the exact systems that we use in order to implement to start creating these 3 payday systems for you to start acquiring real estate with little to no money down. The good thing is I can. And really the next step for you is to dive into our Quantum Leap system, which is our entire foundational system that every single person that we do deals with, some of them approaching over $1 million in paydays, start out with. So first and foremost, in Mod 1 in our program, we're going to show you exactly our A to Z system so that way we can help you launch our Quantum Leap system to start doing these types of real estate deals. We'll show you each and every step that we do on a day-to-day basis. You know, predictability creates certainty, so that way one day you can actually leave your W-2 or build the lifestyle that you want. So we're going to show you all the trackable things to increase those results in this mod. In Mod 3, we'll show you all the lead generation system, because that's the foundation of a real estate business. It's the exact lead sources that we've used over the past 10 years to do over $100 million worth of these types of transactions. In Mod 4, you know, most people's biggest fear, and when it comes to getting involved in real estate, is like, what do I say when I get on with the phone? How do I convince the seller to sell their property to me? So here we're going to share with you all the exact scripts for both you, your virtual assistants, and your team in order to continue to do these types of transactions. And I know we didn't cover this, but this is another one of our techniques that's the fastest way to go ahead to get, you know, a check in hand at very little risk. And that's what we call our sign out deal, where you actually only get paid one time. In Mod 6, we show you all the secrets on how to be able to acquire real estate with little to no money down, with little to no interest, and really be able to serve an entire niche of people when it comes to free and clear properties. In Mod 7, I'm going to show you all the secrets on how to control real estate without the barriers of ownership. This is how you get into these deals with that little to no money down without even worrying about transferring. In Mod 8, this is all about buying properties subject to the existing loan. This simplifies everything for you so that you can take advantage of this transitioning market. This mod alone implemented millions of dollars. Mod 9, we acquired all these pieces of real estate. Now this is the entire manual and step-by-step process for marketing your property to getting your first check and start creating that 3 payday system. Then Mod 10 is all about becoming a transaction engineer. As deals come in, it's how do I now fit them into which bucket? How do I know which option to go ahead and connect the seller with, so that way we can help them solve their challenge? That's what becoming a transaction engineer is. We'll show you exactly that as well. We have spent tens of thousands of dollars on all of our agreements, and you're actually going to be able to access all those agreements. That way, when you go ahead and start doing these deals, you go to that attorney and just say, look, just tell me if there's anything that we need to add for our county and our state. These contracts are 95% done for you. You'll get access to all of those, including our checklist. Now, we are the only company that is creative, that has a creative financing association. It's all about empowering new real estate investors and seasoned real estate investors, so that way we can help you get into doing more real estate deals. I remember recently a student actually received a deal over another investor because they simply asked, hey, are they certified with creative financing? Because we are, and this is exactly what we do on a day-to-day basis. Now, once you're in the academy, if you're anything like me, I learn on the go. I listen to podcasts. I listen to, this is how I study when I'm in and around the gym. You're going to be able to learn on the go as well. You get access to the Academy app directly on your phone. You're also going to be able to dive directly into and receive a free ticket to our next upcoming event, which is in Rhode Island. This is where we congregate all of those people that are doing real estate deals at a very high level. When it comes to creative financing, this is where you need to be if you want to be at the top tier of creative financing. You'll get a free ticket to that event as well, you and a guest. So if you go on our website right now and you want to get started, if you can go ahead, it's $14.99 if you want to go ahead and buy it retail. Now, we promised Spartan Invest here that we would give you guys a discount to make it an absolute no-brainer for you. So what we'll go ahead for today and today only is $9.97, or we also have a 2 and a 3 pay option as well. 2 payments of $5.97 or 3 payments of $3.97. All you have to do is go to smartrealestatecoach.com/Spartan. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/Spartan. Yeah, we always want to make it an absolute, no-brainer for you. We never want anybody inside our program unless they're committed, and this is the niche for them. So we will give you a 30-day money-back guarantee. Dive into the course for any reason it's not a good fit for you. Message support. We'll go ahead and fund you in full. Again, to get started right now, it's smartrealestatecoach.com/Spartan. So 1 pay at $9.97, or we do have a 2 and a 3 pay option. I did tell you, though, that I was going to give you some free gifts here. So if you go to the exact same website, that's smartrealestatecoach.com/Spartan, you'll go ahead and get all 3 of these books. Plus, you'll be able to dive into a strategy call where me and the team will go through each and every one of the dynamics of what you're going through right now, where you currently are, and really co-create a plan with you in order to ensure your success. I was speaking to somebody recently, and they said, I was going to get involved in real estate investing in 2014, but for some reason I didn't. Well, that's what I did. You are in the right place at the right time. You did not miss the market. We are ahead of the curve when it comes to creative financing right now. These techniques, this way of buying and selling real estate is set up perfectly for the turmoil that's going in this real estate market, with the dramatic shift with the buyers and the dramatic shift with the sellers. There's a massive hole in opportunity. You're in the right place at the right time. Don't shoulda, don't coulda. Jump on the train. Our train is leaving. We'd love to have you be a part of it. So lastly, you just got to go to smartrealestatecoach.com/Spartan. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/Spartan. I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen here and just jump over quickly here.
Awesome.
Yeah, you got it.
Great. Well, Zach, that was fantastic. First of all, I'm a very visual person, so I love being able to see those case studies, and it really just makes all the numbers come together and see how much of an incentive it is to get started now and in this program.
Yeah, 100%. I saw a couple. So I wasn't seeing all the questions that were coming in. So I did see a couple. If you wouldn't mind, I'd be happy to answer them, as I know we got like 2 or 3 minutes left here.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are good. And I'm going to pull that up, and I have some questions too. I'm excited to ask.
Sure.
And thanks for Kristen for putting that link in there. We're excited to be a partner with you guys. So we're ready to have investors be able to continue their education on the investment side. But it looks like we do have a couple, and we may have covered this after it, further on after it was asked, but with the program and signing up in the workshops, someone had asked, are you able to help investors get connected to different deals and sellers? I know we do have the content to be able to provide
Sure.
to them, but how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So within that program, we're going to show you exactly the lead sources that we use on a day-to-day basis. We're going to show you exactly how to communicate with those sellers in order to determine their challenges and their problems, how to be able to solve them, show you exactly how to be able to then create those transactions either through paperwork, through negotiation, you name it. Then we'll also show you how to execute these deals and start creating that 3 payday system. And then throughout that time frame as well, we're going to show you exactly how to be able to build this business out so you can go from solopreneur to eventually CEO and step out. So all of those things will be covered in there as well.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Another question, and I know as investors are getting targeted from different companies on how to learn more, how to get involved in different programs. But with, Smart Real Estate Coach, what really sets you guys apart in making those incentives for investors to get involved and get started with your program?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. One is the timing there's no better timing right now than get involved in creative financing. We have wholesalers, fix and flip, like massive companies now coming to us in order to partner with us or get involved in our program in order to start capturing other pieces of this market right now, because most wholesalers, fix and flips are trying to catch a falling knife right now. And they see the massive opportunity in order to diversify or leverage themselves. So that's number one. And number two is, we have consistently set ourselves up in a position where we have helped so many people by actually locking arms with them. That's what separates us. We are not just a real estate coaching company. We're a real estate investment company. We're a company that partners with people in order to help them actually get deals done. That way you're not out there on your own. So by those two folds right now, it just makes it the perfect time.
Absolutely. I was really impressed even seeing that you had as far as templates on how to get contracts started and reaching out to buyers. That's amazing and really valuable content to be able to have. Let's see, one other, and I know we kind of touched on this, but someone else, doesn't matter where you're purchasing the properties. And I know that we said a little bit in the markets, this can work anywhere in any market.
Yeah, we're in about 100 markets right now. There's some markets that have little nuances. Doesn't mean you can't do the deals though. Like Texas, you can't do sandwich leases in the state of Texas. You have to have ownership. So that'd be the one thing that sticks out to me, which we have people in Texas we're buying and selling real estate with. So that's where we just focus very clearly on 1 or 2 of the techniques in order to maximize it.
Well, that's great. And I wrote down, I love what you said. When the market is changing, you should be celebrating. And that's a great piece of advice. I know a lot of people are doing the opposite. What you said, listening to the media and just being told no and to wait and all of those things. Would someone that is brand new to real estate, I know that your goal to them through these workshops is to be in a comfortable position in 12 to 24 months to start seeing, the benefits of it. What piece of advice would you give them as far as in these unchanging times that we're not really certain what's going to happen in the next 24 months?
Yeah, if I had a crystal ball, I'd probably be sitting up in the mountains somewhere.
Yeah.
But what creative financing does for you is it alleviates risk. So with all the deals we've ever done, I've never guaranteed debt, personally guaranteed debt. Everything's in our LLCs. We've never had our credit pulled. So it's not, again, not connected to us.
Right.
We're not putting large down payments. Do some properties require some capital? Sure. But compared to the traditional market, not large down payments. And so what that then does, and especially if you can get long term. So some of the 2 deals that I showed you, which I just didn't have time to get to, which is one of them, we actually have a 30-year deal now. It transferred from a 29-year deal to a 30-year deal. And that's just because we are able to and we show you people exactly how to massage the portfolio and change the deals. So
Right.
long-term deals make it less risky as well. So because we all know, even if the market does dramatically dip now, if you got 10 years or
Right.
20 years or 30 years, the market's going to be up on the other end. You then just strategically plan to exit later on. So this is the type of creative financing is the type of deals you want to do when there's turmoil, because you have so much leverage as a real estate investor now in order to
Exactly.
determine the right terms. Yep.
Exactly. And looking at that long-term investment, like you mentioned, and not just what's happening, day to day, that's super important. And I know that you had touched too on reasons why people aren't getting involved, or why they think
Sure.
they're not able to do this. And that's one is time. And I think that's one super important when you have someone like us, like it's a turnkey provider, that we want to make it truly passive. That's what we really focus on, is having a team that's out there to help you make this all come together and work. But why would you say it is important to really focus on who you're choosing to work with, whether it be a property manager or what kind of deals you're making? Why is having that team, so important through the investment?
Sure. Well, it's really important to have your dream team period when it comes to all these types of deals, because a lot of our deals are contract driven versus actually physically driven, meaning like we're not out there fix and flipping. So what we're doing is we're just surrounding ourselves with the right CPAs, the right attorneys, the right so when I say attorneys, that's real estate attorneys, that's asset protection, you name it, as far as entity setup. The best way to look at too, like how, and the reason why I think we all match up well together is, you're right, you are super passive, which is like, hey, so some of those attorneys or those doctors or people that I talked about, that want to have a passive business, of course they're going to work with someone like you. We're more in the like driver's seat, where it's like, hey, if you want to go ahead and be more active and eventually turn this into becoming a full-time real estate investor and actively in the trenches, that's what we're here to do. We're definitely way more active. We're trying to shorten the time frame for a lot of people that want to like leave their W-2s or not happy with it. High income earners that now want to build a business and create that lifestyle. So that's where having the right team like us, which is we could consistently look over your shoulder and partner with you on deals, so you maximize your profits and you don't set yourself up for failure with these deals as well.
Exactly. Now, I think that's, like you mentioned, on all ends, it's really important to have that support in the community that you have with already people that are investing and working with you guys. So I'm so glad that we're able to also help educate together and continue that education with investors. So we're really excited to get this content out to all of our listeners and investors. I know a lot of our investors are not able to join us live every time. So we will be sending out this recording through a YouTube link, along with our link to be able to access and purchase all of the content to get started in your workshops and learn information. So I'm so glad that you were able to come on and touch on that a little bit. I don't mind the fast talking, and I'm sure everyone listening is excited to hear a different accent than mine here in Alabama. So it was nice to have a different one to listen to.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. And those of you that just, there's a couple different stages, like go out there, dive into our course if you really want to make this part of your portfolio and be active. But there's also a ton of free content if you go to that same website where you can start diving into our Amazon bestselling books and start seeing how the model works. There's an option for both sides of the coin there.
Absolutely. And we'll also be putting out Chris's podcast with our On the House podcast coming out next week. So even more details and content to put out for you guys. So thank you so much again. I hope you and your team and your family have an awesome Thanksgiving next week. And we're excited to continue working and educating investors with you all.
Thank you very much. Grateful to have me on. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we will see you next time, everyone. Thank you again, Zach, and we'll be talking to you again soon.